Following up with the 4th of July, last week we talked about how we define true freedom. Society today, we mentioned, likes to define freedom as doing what I want, when I want, how I want. And yet we look at the story of Adam and Eve, and that's the life they lived, and look at where it left us. Sweating, toil, having to work for our food, pain, all right, all of these different things. It didn't work out so well. So we've been there. We've done that. We should know that isn't the answer. True freedom is doing the will of God. It's that simple, yes, but that is true freedom. In every decision we make, ask, am I doing God's will? Now, what does that look like is what I want to kind of focus on in one avenue today. I want to tell you a little story. It's a true story. It's a story about a man who had cancer. And don't forget that, because we're going to come back to this example later on. But he had cancer. And he was dying from this cancer. And one day, his children believed he had actually passed on. When all of a sudden, everyone, what happened was he came to, went to the kitchen, sat down, and drank a cup of coffee. Okay? Just like that. And in drinking that cup of coffee, he was talking to his children and his wife, and he said this. He said this, you know something? I just saw a vision of angels. And in that vision, I knew everything was going to be okay. And you know what happened? A short time later, he died. Okay? Whenever we hear a story like that, the one thing we like to ask is this. What's it like? Here's some examples. What's it like to have a vision of angels? What's it like, Father, for you to be with that family when somebody is about ready to die? Those are hard questions to answer. I'll give you some examples of some that would be hard for you. Okay, your child comes up to you, and they're expecting their first child. And they come up to you and they ask you this question. What's it like to have a 6-pound, 13-ounce bundle of energy for the next 20 years? It's hard to answer. What's it like, Dad, when all of a sudden you learn that your child is sick? What's it like when you're angry with your wife and you can't sleep? It's hard to answer. You want another one? I'll give you another one. What's it like when your child comes up to you and says to you as a parent, I hate you. I don't want you to be my mom or dad again. You know what? It's hard to answer that. And I think that's a natural lead into the story, everyone. I think of the beauty of the mustard seed. Listen to how this story goes. It's a mustard seed, the smallest of the seeds. But after it does its work and it grows, it becomes the largest of the shrubs in which birds can actually lay a nest into it. But notice what it says, everyone. It's the smallest of seed, and when it becomes, in other words, everyone, there's time from the moment it is a seed to the moment it becomes a full bush. We don't do this. This isn't life's experience. We don't take you, okay, let's just pretend, Sarah, you're married tomorrow. And the next day, all of a sudden, we as a society say, okay, Sarah, boom. The next day after you're married, you get 4 kids. And here they are. The first one's a 20-year-old suffering from an addiction. The second one is a teenager. Enough said. The third one is a 10-year-old who struggled with being bullied by his classmates. And the fourth one is that 6-pound, 13-ounce bundle of energy who keeps you up and wakes you up every 2 hours of night. Is that the way it works? Oh, we don't do that. Okay? If we try to do that, it's just too much too quick. Okay? Notice that seed doesn't become boom the next day, all of a sudden it's fully growing. It's too much too fast. All things take time. Okay? Some things just take time, slowly, slowly, and slowly. And you know something? One of the beautiful examples I can give you is this. And it's something we've all experienced, the human condition. Somebody came up to you and asked you this question: can you define for me what it's like to be a human being? Well, going with the flow of this homily, the answer is not really. Not really. Doesn't mean we can't say something, but can you really define what it's like to be a human being? Not really. And that gets into the second parable that I want to talk to you about, everyone. The sower with the seed and the weeds. You know, in my missal, I have a picture of that very scenario. And what you see, everyone, is a man, and in one hand he has the basket, and in the other hand he's throwing the seed. Now, how do you know, everyone, it's not the good seed? Because in the background you see it's the dark of night. Okay? You realize now it's the enemy. And all the time that I've read that parable, the one thing I just thought is this: it has to be some kind of a grass seed. You know, when wheat grows, grass grows with it. So they're kind of hard to differentiate by what time you get it. But, you know what was interesting? I read the parable about 3 times this last week, and you know something? It never defines the weed, what type it is. As far as we know, it could be this. It could be a dandelion in the middle of your lawn that you can tell the difference from day one. That obvious. And what do you want to do, everyone? You want to get down there and you want to get rid of it. You want to pull it, and yet what does the Master God say today? Wait. And you know what I want to say is, God, I've been here, you're wrong. You see, if I want to get the most, Don, you would know this well. Any farmer, anybody who grows, if I want to get the most out of my seed, the thing I have to do is get rid of the weeds. Weeds by a seed growing side by side don't work. There's no yield. Right? But everyone, let me ask you this. Is it really that simple? You know, one thing I've learned about all of us is this: we sometimes think God is too patient. Way too patient. God, the world today is a mess. When are you going to come and just say it's enough? That 20-year-old kid who's on an addiction, he's been addicted since he's 12 years old. Why waste your time with that kind of reckless love that you have? But is it that simple? Let me talk to you about this for a moment. Think about what we're a mixture of. People, let me ask you this. Are we all good? Well, we were created very good, but in this question I'm asking you this: are we all good? In other words, does every decision you make always center on God and God-driven? You know, we're sinners, so we have to honestly say, are we all good? No. But in that, are we all bad? Is every decision you make based on the other end, then is everything you say, this is God's will, and I'm just going to do everything opposed to it? The answer is no. And so the question really gets in this: we're a mix of this and that. Where does God pull? Open you up. Where does God pull in all of this mixture of good and bad? Okay? And in the end, if he did start to pull, what would he look like? Here's a great scenario that I can give you. If you want to know a great scenario, here it is to explain this. Let's go back to cancer. Remember the guy about cancer? You're a physician, and what you're working on is my heart. My heart has a tumor wrapped around it, and there's also cancer that's growing in my heart. Okay? And I'm impatient, and I say, Doc, I'm going to give you 1 hour to get that cancer out of my heart and away from my heart. And you know what he'd say? He'd say this, if he was a wise: I can't do it. And he'd say, why? Because if I do it too quickly, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to compromise your heart. I'm going to compromise. Okay? Time. Patience. Okay? Everyone realize the harvest is going to come. Okay? For the weed and the seed, that'll come when the combines roar through the field. Seed will produce 30, 60 hundredfold. Weeds will go out the back just like chaff. For you and me, it'll come when we close our eyes for the last time. Be patient. Produce abundance. Okay, 30, 60, 100-fold. Okay, but be patient with God, patient with the world, patient with those around you, and patient with yourself. Okay? That's just a word that I want to offer when we think about the gospel today. Everyone, I know the priest over in Jackson is announcing that this weekend, so I may as well make the official announcement too. So here's the actual official announcement as it came down from the diocese. I'll make the announcement and then I'll explain it. Father Peter Schuster, pastor of St. John Vianney and Holy Family East Chain in Fairmont, in addition to this assignment, will be the parochial administrator of Good Shepherd in Jackson, St. Luke's in Sherburne, and St. Joseph's in Lakefield, effective August 13th, 2014, until the pastor is named for the Jackson cluster at a future date. Okay, you're going to hear about this. Let me just explain it. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but the first thing I would just say is this. I will still be the pastor here. Okay, I'm not moving. That's not the purpose of this. But the priest in Jackson, Sherburne, and Lakefield will be moving, and there's nobody to put there right now. So they've asked me to become the parochial administrator of those three places, along with being the pastor of these two places. Okay? So what that means is I'll have to oversee the administration, the finances, funerals, weddings, preps, baptisms. We'll have to do that. Okay? I just tell you this, how long is it going to last? It sounds like, I hope, and they're trying to get someone in place by Ash Wednesday of 2015. Okay, so it's going to take a little bit of time here. So when we talk about patience, here it is. And I hope you realize I'll do the best that I can. Just be patient. I can't be every place. I've already had to turn a couple things down, but I've explained why, okay? But in this, don't get scared. I'm not moving. That's not the intention. I'm just going to kind of oversee it until they can find somebody. But it does tell you, we need priests. Okay, we're lucky we got 3 going in the seminary. I'm proud of us. 3 going in the seminary this year. Okay, Daniel Ward has taken St. John Vianney as his parish. He was here for a year. We also have Isaac Landsteiner, okay, and Matt Nordquist. So we're doing well. We're sending guys in. But we really do need priests. Okay, we do. All right? We need them. All right? If you got any questions, just see me. But that's just kind of the way it is right now. All right? All right, I just want to share it with you because you're going to hear about things. Okay? But in the meantime, everyone, pray for your pastor, obviously. Pray for patience, so too. Okay? And let us pray that we truly bear good fruit.